Let's talk about plants, specifically Hawaiian plants. A little background, the Hawaiian flora is imperiled. Most of these species occur nowhere else on Earth. Many are only known from a single island or volcano. We've already presumably lost many species, and right now, 386 Hawaiian plants are, well, I'm not showing the bottom of the slide. Okay, 239 are what we call plant extinction prevention program targets. They have less than 50 wild individuals. Many of them are down to a single individual. In a few cases, they're extinct in the wild, but there is material in cultivation for restoration. The idea for the Plant Extinction Prevention Program, or PEP, came from the Hawaii Rare Plant Recovery Group. This is a collaboration of over 60 federal, state, local agencies, nonprofits, landowners, large and small, and concerned individuals about the decline of the Hawaiian flora. And the collaboration is really key to our success. It takes teamwork. On every island, we have staff on every island. Every island works with its local partners, watershed partnerships, which are themselves alliances. So we really rely on this teamwork to get results. This is Sheedia Jacoby. This is an herb in the carnation family. The genus Sheedia is endemic to Hawaii with about 32 species. Half of them are endangered. Several are considered extinct. This species was only discovered in 1992 in the state of Hawaii's Hanabi Natural Area Reserve. This is a wilderness area on the windward side of Haleakala where the plants were found on a small ledge on the side of a cliff. And over the next several years, due to a prolonged drought and herbivory by introduced species of slugs, the plants died off and they were all gone. But we suspected, hoped that there might be viable seeds still in the soil. So we went back to the ledge and we collected some soil off of it and brought it into the Olinda Rare Plant Facilities. This is one of a series of mid-elevation nurseries across the islands. And a minor miracle, we did get seeds to come up and they were really healthy. And we did this twice and we flew the plants back to the Hanabi Natural Area Reserve and planted them. You can see they all have a number and a tag, which is loaded in a database, which we monitor over the course of their life. And the plants are doing really good. They've reached reproductive age. They're flowering, they're seeding. However, the slugs are still there and there's still a problem. They're eating all the newly germinated seedlings and they're attacking the adult plants. And this is a widespread problem with many species on all the islands. Cyanea is an endemic genus in the bellflower family. There are over 80 species, all evolved from a single ancestor. The group is pretty well studied. Many of them are considered extinct. We're still discovering new species of Cyanea. They're pretty well known for their coevolution with some of the Hawaiian honey creepers. The curvature of the flower matches the curvature of the bill. The bird gets to reach the nectar and the flower gets pollinated. This is Cyanea obtusa. This species is now known from only a single individual where it grows in a steep, narrow canyon on the leeward side of Haleakala. And not only do we need a helicopter to reach this area, it also requires technical gear. And over a period of about 3 years and 6 or 7 rappels, we were finally able to collect seeds. After about 1.5 years in the nursery, they were big enough and ready to go back out. And so we got out, brought them out in the helicopter, and they were brought back up here in this forest area. And this was the first time Cyanea obtusa was grown and reintroduced into the wild. This is the staff of the Leeward Haleakala Watershed Restoration Partnership with the first plants to go back in the ground. We also send seeds to the Lion Arboretum in Honolulu. They have a seed storage laboratory as well as a micropropagation facility, which is shown here. This is probably the most valuable real estate in Hawaii, and that's saying a lot. In this little room, there's literally hundreds of critically rare and endangered species in these test tubes and Petri dishes. And when secure habitat becomes available, this material can be brought out and multiplied and become available for restoration efforts. Orchids, everybody knows orchids, so we'll do something more familiar. Hawaii only has 3 native orchids, and they're all considered rare, and they're not big and showy. The rarest species is Platanthera holochila. This species is now reduced to 4 small populations on 3 islands with less than 3 dozen individuals. And despite Hawaii have a substantial horticultural industry based on orchids for over 30 years, nobody was able to grow this species. And this is Steve Perlman on Molokai in the Kamako Preserve collecting seeds. And Steve initiated a collaboration, of course, with Dr. Larry Zettler at Illinois College. And Dr. Zettler had worked with related species of orchids with some success. And Dr. Zettler figured out how to grow these orchids. And what his research and effort revealed was it took 300 to 400 days in complete darkness for the seeds to germinate. Who would have thought? And so here's a newly deflasked seedling. There's still some of the sterile agar that needs to be washed off. And here's Dr. Zettler back at Kamako Preserve on Molokai after these seedlings are the result of 8 years of his effort. Unfortunately, these plants perished. Many orchids rely on a specific pollinator, but many orchids also require a specific soil fungus that helps provide nutrients to the plants. And in the absence of that fungus, the plants will perish and die. So there's a lot of research in this area. To learn more about this, there's a lot of research in a lot of areas. It's one of our big needs. Our biggest need right now is funding. We've always relied on soft money, year-to-year grant-based funds, but we need a secure long-term source of funding. I'm sometimes asked, like, who cares, right? I can't eat these plants. You know, they're not going to cure my cold or my cancer. You know, why bother? And to that I say, these species have a right to exist. All species do. And it's because of our recklessness and carelessness as a society that has pushed these species to the brink of extinction. And I believe we have a duty to act. These plants are not only important scientifically, they're also important to the Hawaiian culture, our host culture. Many of them have ethnobotanical uses, ceremonial uses. But there is something in it for us, and that is they make water. These plants and natural communities and ecosystems provide us in Hawaii with fresh water. And as you know, Hawaii is surrounded by thousands of miles of salt water, so it's a miracle there is water. Some of these places receive 300 or 400 inches of annual rainfall. It's really wet. Without water, there is no industry and there's no agriculture. These are the ecosystems that sustain us. The argument that it's either the environment or the economy, I believe, is false. Now, I have to confess, I'm not always an optimist. Sometimes my glass is half full and sometimes it's half empty. Usually I just think it's bigger than it should be. But conservation is for optimists. It's what drives our passion. It's what motivates us to get out and, to get out there in these remote areas. And I can go back a little, to walk on these narrow ledges to get to our plants, or climbing up slippery slopes to look in the nooks and crannies or see what's over the next ridge, or dangle on the, lost again. Dangle on the end of the rope, hoping we might get a few seeds from one of these plants. You know, we go out in these remote areas and camp for a week. You know, there's no toilets, there's no shower. The biggest hardship is there's no internet. This is called Paradise Camp too, this one. But I'm sure everybody right now is thinking, wow, what can I do to help? And, wow, what is going on with this? Just skip. Oh. Yep. Anyway, there's, wow. Plenty you can do to help. You can volunteer. You can volunteer. No matter what your age or experience, you have skills and abilities, whether it's as simple as answering the phone, working at an event like this with outreach, maybe you're great with social media. Get out there and, sign up and help. Become a pepper, as we call them. Donate what you can afford. Even a little bit adds up. Get out there and vote. Support candidates and legislation that value the environment, and patronize businesses that share your environmental ethics. Avoid the ones that don't. Take a hike. Recreation is recreation. Reconnect with nature and the natural world. Get inspired. And for the youth, make a career in conservation. It's incredibly rewarding. Not financially. Nobody here is nobody's getting rich working in conservation. But just imagine getting up every morning and looking forward to going to work. That, I think, is priceless. So thanks for listening. Check out our website. I do have some brochures and stickers here.